Hello and welcome to the SuperShow podcast. I am Alex Jones and today I am joined once again by Jamie and Christoph.
Hello.
Yo. How you doing, boys? You all right? You good?
I'm good. I'm just happy I'm not hosting this one, so good luck.
Get to put your feet up this week.
Yeah.
Indeed, because today is me in the hot seat. This is the podcast. Of course, we're on YouTube at SuperShow Pod. We're also on many of the great podcasting platforms out there that you can find us somewhere on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and any platform. I think we're on all of them, right? We're just on all of them. Let's just say that.
Only the 5-star platforms.
Because this is a 5-star podcast, so it's very important. So first up, we have to say that one of the things that keeps our podcast going is our many amazing patrons on patreon.com. So we'd like to give a quick shout out to those guys. There's some on screen right now, but also I'd like to give a shout out to Brett Zerbrig, Hacksaw Book Reed, Matthew Fronzo, Mindful Pig, Peaswad, Tristan Harris, The Dude Abides, and William Sherry. And then it's the two big dogs that we have to separate out. They're keeping us going on their own. When they're not, that's a lie, but anyway. It's Lonnie Thompson and Skylar Music. Thank you to all of you, to all of our patrons. Genuinely, we wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for you guys, so you are awesome.
Yeah, fucking legends.
Now, first up, as we do every week, I want to hear what you guys have been doing since last podcast in the world of, in your own little worlds. What games have you been playing? What have you been watching? What's been going on?
Oh, okay. I'll tell you what, I'll jump in. I've been playing some games with you guys.
Oh,
okay, really?
Have you?
I didn't notice.
Only 3 games I've been playing is Warzone.
Nice.
I played with you, Jonesy, and I played with Martin from Just Interesting.
Yes, he was also on the podcast last week.
Yes.
Shout out.
Yes.
Go check it out if you haven't heard it already.
Hell yeah, check it out. Then we also we streamed some Minecraft dungeons.
What are we doing in that phase for?
And Steph Murphy.
Yes.
So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was
simple fucking game. Like not much to it. It's okay. We all have Game Pass, so like no big deal. We just fucking play it because it's free on Game Pass.
I understand we've nearly finished it, right? In that short session that we did.
It's a very short game. Yeah, I do believe that more DLC is incoming, but I don't know. It's fine.
Just a bit light, isn't it? Like, there's not much to it.
It was quite light.
I think I would have liked a little bit of depth, but then again, it's not aimed at me, right? Like, it's not aimed at us. It's like, hey, 12-year-olds, play this game.
Yeah.
I think Jamie made the point while we were playing it was that if it had more depth and if you could do more with those characters and you had some more of those sort of special abilities and like that loot cycle was a bit better, then it might be more to it. It might be worth playing a bit longer.
I just thought that some of the things on it were just a bit shit, to be honest. Like hear me out. So playing the actual game, it's fine, it's fun. Like, you know, you could want more, but what it's got is perfectly serviceable. There's nothing wrong with it. When you get back to the village or your hometown or whatever, like the hub, and you unlock like a blacksmith, but you can give the blacksmith coins so that you could get an item, but it's completely randomized. And a lot of the times we were doing it, the items we were getting were shit, right?
Right.
So maybe more of a variance of stuff, like more armor, more weapons. Obviously, we've only scratched the surface, but fair enough.
I don't think we did scratch it. I think we've nearly finished the game. I think we did more than scratch the surface.
And the other thing is, like, if there was a list and you knew, and it was like tiered, or even if it was like a random thing, but it's like, hey, if you want a common, this is how many fucking emeralds it costs.
Oh yeah,
so
that'd be cool.
You want an epic, this is how much, like just some kind of a control, so that it takes away the abject disappointment when you just get like a fucking super common thing, spending all your money. It's a nitpick, I know, but yeah.
It's funny talking to people who clearly didn't spend the hours that I spent in Destiny unlocking all those different engrams and hoping that good items would come out of them. No, it's shit again.
Yeah, fair
enough. They then introduced the traveling merchant, I think it was, that you could spend. It was literally like you spend double the amount of gems and you get something slightly better, but it's basically exactly the same process.
He sold artifacts.
Artifacts only, yeah.
Artifacts, sorry, not gems, artifacts.
I don't know.
But it was kind of exactly the same process. You didn't see what it was. It was random.
Yeah. Like I said, there's some things they could do to fix it or make it better. It doesn't need fixing. Just make it better. But it's fine. It's a fine game. It's not going to blow anyone away. But then again, like, where's the Minecraft element of Minecraft Dungeons? And that makes me think, as I was just saying it now, I just thought of it, like, instead of having a blacksmith, why aren't you the blacksmith? And you go into the mission.
And you craft.
You gather the elements, and then when you get back to your hometown, you can craft shit. That
make more sense.
Make more sense to me, but yeah, whatever. Like I said, I'm not the market, so what can I really say?
Yeah.
They could even have it more typical, like you could just take the resources to the blacksmith and he could make it for you. But at least you could like work towards something.
Yeah.
Like, you want to get that thing and you need this many resources of this type and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to give a shout out, of course, to my Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Hopanic. And I believe, Jonesy, when you're going to tell us about your time, you're going to tell us your Twitch. But before you do that, I've got one more game that I've been playing, which is, of course, the ever-present Dota 2. And the reason is, we're going to be talking about it later, but they've released their Battle Pass. So there's actually been objectives for me to work towards in terms of playing the game. So I'm happy about that.
You've actually got something to do in the game that you have never, ever stopped playing once.
Yeah. One of those.
Great.
Yeah. There's a reason for you to go back again and again.
There's a reason to sit through the torturous process of playing Dota 2.
Yeah. I don't know, like you go through waves with these kind of games, don't you? Where you almost fall out of love with them. So you take a little bit of a step back and then something brings you back in. Jamie, I know you've had it a lot with Destiny.
Not quite to the extent of your love affair with Dota. In that I haven't played Destiny for 4 months now and I don't miss it. Because I just basically message Matt Towie once every 2 months and say, is it good yet? In fact, I should register that domain. Is Destiny 2 good?
Is it good yet?
That would be. I think you'd make a lot of money from that. Yeah.
Because it seems to be in flux.
Finished watching The Last Dance, which is the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls three-peat.
Yep.
Or whatever.
Consistently heard very good things as that was airing week on week.
It's so fucking good. It's so fucking. I can't recommend it enough. And I started watching a really shit but enjoyable show called Upload on Amazon Prime.
Shit but enjoyable.
Yeah, because it's not made very well, but it has its moments, right? Like
Upload.
It's just imagine you die or you're dying.
I'm having an Amazon delivery right now, and I can see the dude. I'm gonna have to come back. One sec.
Oh wow, it's double trouble. This is some in-video marketing.
You. Cheers, mate. Sorry, everybody.
I love that.
Do you know what it was?
Your hosting job and the fucking Amazon delivery.
No, it wasn't even Amazon. Do you know what it was? It was now my camera's going mental because it's like tried to refocus. So my wife's boss was dropping something off for him, and for anyone who doesn't know, so this little studio is in my garage, and I can see the gate because I was telling the guys before we did the podcast, I have to leave my garage door open now because my Wi-Fi signal's become so bad. So I just saw my wife's boss walk up the drive, and he's dropping something over the fence, and he's like.
Maybe he didn't know you were home, Alex Jones.
Maybe not. Well, she's not home either, so that'd be
even more worrying.
Yeah. He was coming to rob the place. So he probably thinks, what's that weirdo doing in the back of his garage with a headset on? Oh, well.
I was really hoping that was an actual Amazon delivery for a second there in the middle of Chris talking about an Amazon Prime exclusive series. I thought we were about to get some
can you imagine?
Weird fourth wall breaking marketing.
Yeah, fucking Alexa.
They were that on the ball.
Yeah.
They heard Amazon and they were like, drop something off quick.
But yeah,
sorry, everybody.
The premise of this Upload show is like, imagine you're dying, and what you can do is you can upload your consciousness into an area, like a digital world.
Okay.
Oh, kind of like the Black Mirror episode.
Yeah.
Where the people die and they upload their consciousnesses into that computer core.
San Junipero. Yeah, very similar kind of thing. Yeah. And that acts as like your heaven. But it's interesting because it's almost taking like a corporate look at things. So you're in heaven and the guy opens up like a minibar and he's swiping through the minibar and it's like, oh, here's McDonald's. And you swipe again. He just wanted some coffee. So he clicks to go coffee and it said like, coffee DLC, add $2. And he's like, fuck. Shit like that.
How'd you get money in heaven? Do you get heaven jobs?
No, it's complicated. You don't get money, but it's like a cell phone. Like your family pays like a membership.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's kind of weird.
Coffee DLC. I like that. That's good.
It's kind of weird, but like I said, it's pretty shit, but it's enjoyable at the same time. You know those kinds of shows.
Indeed.
I mean, we make a podcast like that, so we can all relate.
Yeah. So that's what I've been up to. What about you guys?
Jamie, what have you been playing? What have you been doing? Fill us in.
I've kind of still been on that open world crime bent since last week, where I expressed my disappointment with the Mafia Definitive Editions. Unfortunately, that disappointment has not let up just yet.
Have they not patched it yet?
Mafia 2 Definitive Edition has not been patched, although the people who worked on the remaster have acknowledged the problems and said they're working on them. Likewise, Mafia 3 Definitive Edition has not been patched, and it has now become clear that the issue with that seems to be that they have made the Definitive Edition out of an old version of the game, which means that the update they put out removed the improvements that they made for the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X.
That's brilliant.
So
well done, guys.
There's evidence to suggest that the Xbox One X version of Mafia 3 now runs at 900p resolution. So, so sub full HD, it's very strange. Christ. And I believe 2K have also acknowledged that and said they're going to fix it. But luckily, there was some good news to come out of the almost 10-year-old open world crime action game scene in the last week, which was that Saints Row the Third Remastered came out, and I'm happy to confirm that is a good remaster by most accounts. There's a really good video on it by Digital Foundry, who kind of go into a lot of depth about the somewhat strange almost amount of work that's gone into that remaster. It's not super striking at first, but it's kind of one of those videos where when you let someone do a deep dive, you're like, oh shit, they bothered to do way more stuff than most people are bothered to do. Not quite remake territory, but a very good remaster. I think the only thing that's strange about Saints Row the Third is that you realise, even though that game is 9 years old, open world games have changed a lot in 9 years. And it's very strange playing one of those types of games, a GTA clone, if you will, and having a story mission where you have to go to a clothes store and get new clothes, and a story mission where you have to go to a gun store and get your gun. And you forget that the first couple of hours of all of those games was always that style of building up momentum. Right. And it does feel a little bit dated, I'll be honest, but I have a soft spot for that game and that series. Humor doesn't always land, but they're easy going for me. So that was most of my week, to be honest. That and not much Warzone. I'm finally kind of trailing off slightly on the Warzone front because it annoys me every time I play it because I have a fucking shit time every time I sit down. I'm like, why do I fucking put myself through this? I'm not enjoying it.
Why do you have a shit time? What do you mean? I think you've been smashing it.
Well, the thing is I haven't. Not really. And I think what happens is it's the same trajectory I go through with every Call of Duty game in terms of the multiplayer, right? Which is the game comes out, you play it a little bit, and you're fucking shit at it. So you give yourself the benefit of the doubt. You give yourself a little bit of a leeway, and you're like, it doesn't matter too much because I'm just bad, and I'm doing it because it's kind of fun. Yeah. Then something strange happens, and you kind of become acceptably good at it. Or good enough to expect more from yourself, to expect a certain level from yourself. Yeah. And then inevitably you kind of you hit your peak and then you start to, the curve starts to go back down the other way and you're playing below what you know you're capable of and you're angry at yourself, you're angry at the game. And I mean, you guys know that the best of times, I have a curious relationship with competitive games. And it doesn't help me be my best self. And so when I'm especially playing with friends who I'm not seeing right now or talking to very much, and the one bit of exposure they get to me every week is me fucking swearing, effing and blinding at Warzone. The shittest game I've ever made. I'm not playing this game ever again. And you've got people we used to work with who are kind of sat there like, this guy wasn't like this in the office. That's why I'm like.
Have any of you guys played the classic modes?
No, I haven't even played it since they got added in.
They're so shit. They're not shit, but it's basically
give us a quick run through of what they actually are because I hadn't heard about them until a couple of days ago.
So it's the same thing, except it's more like PUBG in terms of there's no gulag. So if you die, you die. There's no bounties, there's no scavengers, there's none of that. So it's more like it's you and your team on your own. There's no kind of like added, bells and whistles, if you will.
Right. Can you buy people back in if they die?
I don't know. We didn't get there. I don't think you can. And you drop without weapons.
Oh, nuns, just fists.
Yeah. So it is like PUBG. Do you know what I mean in terms of that? And on the sound of it, I was like, yeah, cool. I could go with some like classic battle royale action. And as soon as I played that game, I only played it once, and I was like, oh, right, okay. This is what I used to like. It's most certainly not what I like now.
Yeah,
it's what Jamie said about like the open world genre. It's like, even though it's not that far removed, it's like maybe like 2 years ago, that's what this classic was. But we've moved on almost at a breakneck speed, and it's just it's hard to go back to anything other than say Apex or Warzone. Just straight up.
I think when you're experiencing those changes little by little as well, and you're kind of, we all went from PUBG, and there was a bit of Fortnite in there for a lot of us, and then there was Apex, and then there was Warzone, and you're having all these different ideas and influences, and then you kind of arrive at the natural progression. Sometimes it is almost hard to realize just how far you've come from what the standard used to be until you go back and take a look at it. And yeah, the idea of playing PUBG now, for many of the reasons that classic mode didn't appeal to you, Chris, kind of, I'm not about it. I'm not about it.
You see, I thought I could go back to PUBG, and then after playing this classic, I'm like, nah, you know what?
Yeah. But it's actually, it's a good thing you mentioned Warzone and PUBG and that stuff, because I actually almost forgot to say, I played some Fortnite this week as well. I played like 2 or 3 hours of Fortnite. And do you know what? I'm still really bad at building, and I'm not sort of like quick enough and familiar enough with the controls and mechanics to sort of actually implement that into any kind of game plan.
Yeah.
But I can still sometimes aim and shoot okay. So I actually had a good time with it. We finished second. That was our high finish.
That's good. We had
but you know what? We had a 2v1 against the final dude.
Oh, he just
and he beat you.
When just the player just seems superhuman, and the second you even get a glimpse of them, you look at your health and you're like, they just lasered me. What the flip is going on? And you can't adapt or adjust. And yeah, it super sucked, because when I realised how many players were left, I thought I could get my first ever Fortnite Battle Royale win. But that would have been will have to come in the future. I may well play it again soon, because I had a decent time. So.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, what about you, Jonesy?
Well, I have played a little bit of a few different things. I haven't played a lot of anything in particular. Obviously played some Warzone with you guys.
Yeah.
I was just filling you in as well before the stream that I've downloaded Warzone onto my PC for the first time. So
yes, Jonesy,
I left that chugging overnight to do that. So the download was weird, because my download speed is normally pretty good, but for some reason there's an issue with downloading it. I think the Battle.net says it knows there might be an issue with like download speeds at the moment. So it took all night to download. It was like 100 gig anyway.
Oh,
it's like
hold on.
download.
Since I've installed Warzone on my machine, that notification saying, "Oh, we know there's a problem with downloads," has been there consistently.
It's been there the whole time. Oh, right.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I downloaded it a couple of weeks ago as well. It's the same message.
Can I tell you something that one of our patrons filled me in on?
Go for it.
For the life of me, I can't remember who it was. Might have been Peaswad or maybe. Anyway, if you go into your settings of Battle.net, as a default, it limits your download rate.
So mine was unlimited. My initial download rate was unlimited.
Through your Battle.net client?
Yeah, exactly. So I went in, because that's a thing I've seen before. So I went in, and there's also a weird thing that anyone who hasn't had this, you can try this as well, is sometimes when you've got an unlimited download speed, if you put a limit in but a high limit, it actually makes it go faster. I've had that in the past with games, which is quite a weird one, but it's almost like it sees an unlimited rate and just kind of gives you a standard, whereas if you put a high rate, it seems to go faster. I don't know. Yeah. But no, it wouldn't make any difference. I tried changing that. I tried doing stuff.
Well,
and it was,
to be fair,
like I said, it was
every
unlimited.
time they change the position of a fucking tree, it's a 20 gig download. So get ready for that.
That's true.
Well, the new season comes out on next
6
Wednesday.
Days?
Yeah, exactly. 6 days. Next Wednesday.
Yeah.
The 3rd.
Another hectic download is going to be, yeah. But so I've played a couple of games on my PC just to kind of get, because I haven't played FPS games on my PC for a long time, so I'm trying to sort of get back into mouse and keyboard. I've got a few teething problems. There's some technical issues going on with my mouse that I'm going to sort out, but that's fine. I also played Maneater. I did a live stream on my Twitch, Twitch TV /SuperShow Jonesy. So if you want to see some shark munching, I'm going to stream some more of that again soon.
Was there any shark on shark action?
There wasn't. There was a lot of shark on alligator action.
Were there any
eating me.
Nelly Furtado references? Or Hall & Oates references would be acceptable as well?
I don't believe so, no.
Pathetic. Really poor form.
Yeah, missed opportunity there, but
Yeah.
But to be fair, there was in the Twitch in the Twitch chat there was, but not in the game.
Wait, so which one? Hall & Oates or Nelly Furtado?
Nelly Furtado.
Whoever that was the right move.
But that was quite a fun game actually. It's I think I got it on a money off thing as well on the Epic Store. I don't know why it was money off, but it was like 25 quid. But it's quite a fun game. So yeah, I'm going to dip in and play a bit more. Play a bit more of that. What else have I played? And then Minecraft Dungeons with you guys. So that was about it for me.
Yeah. These things are going to be really weird once we just start playing the same games, isn't it? So,
boring.
Imagine in 3 weeks' time. What did you guys play? Oh, I played Last of Us Part 2. What did you play? Last of Us Part 2. What about you?
That will happen in 3 weeks' time. Yeah, for 100%. Sure.
Absolutely. Oh, I did something else, of course, this week, and I'm absolutely gonna shoehorn it in as I'm hosting and in my section, because this bad boy right here.
What is that?
This is the giveaway on SuperShow Jonesy on my YouTube channel. This is this week's giveaway. It's still wrapped up because in the new system, I don't tell anyone what it is until the week after. So you've still got a day left when this goes out to guess. No, actually more like 6 hours.
Are you trying to tell me that I could go over to the SuperShow Jonesy YouTube channel right now and get in the comment section below of your most recent live stream and make a guess at what's in that box?
Why, Jamie, yes, you could. And do you know what? Even if you're listening to this podcast after Saturday, there'll be a brand new giveaway. So you could still do that, go over to my channel, and there'll be a brand new thing that if you guess what it is, you will walk away with. So also, next week's one is going to be a tough one. So it's going to be going for quite a while. I think I might have to drop a few more clues during the week. I don't know what it is,
but it's got my name on it. I'm going to win. I'm going to win that bad boy.
I'm going to have to win one once. I'm actually a little bit embarrassed that I haven't won one at this stage because some of them I should have got. Hands down, I should have got. But
yeah,
I'm too slow.
Full disclosure: Jonesy doesn't tell us what they are at all.
I don't know. Jamie, you're considered. I think I know you. You like to think about things and make sure you're right before you commit.
Yeah, you got to be like fucking quick fire, buddy.
I was in the chat for this one because I was like, do you know what? I'm going to get there. I'm going to make sure I set an alarm on my phone so I didn't miss it or anything. Wanted to be there from the word go, and I was there from the word go. And I was really trying to be smart about it, but I know that a couple of my guesses were so wildly wrong. But I guess that's the process, right? You get those clues little by little, and you work towards the big conclusion. I don't know. I think I'm in with a chance, but
exactly,
who knows?
But hey, like I said, anyone listening, anyone watching, if you want to be in with a chance, YouTube.com, and then search my channel, SuperShow Jonesy, or hit me up on Twitter, and I'll share it anyway. I'm at SuperShow Jonesy on Twitter. But anyway, that's enough about me and enough about us. I think we should move on to our first news story, which
what is it?
Was The Last of Us Part 2 State of Play, because we've actually got, when this podcast goes out on the 29th, the game should have been coming out. But we've got a month left. Well, less than a month. We've got until the 19th of June until the game comes out. So there was a tasty little State of Play where they showed us some gameplay that we haven't seen before. They sort of hinted at a few things that we didn't know about. It's very brutal. It's a very brutal game, as you'd expect from Last of Us. We did see some of the same things we've seen before, which maybe let a few people down. We were hoping we'd see a little bit more.
I think there was only like 10 minutes of new footage. Is that right?
Yeah, I think most of it was from that bit at the end when they were effectively doing that sort of short mission, and that
was completely new. Yeah,
yeah, and that was kind of a little bit. Is lackluster the right word? It wasn't exactly the most thrilling sort of section of gameplay they could have shown, but I think it did a very good job.
I guess it just didn't, other than showing us like new, like stuff we actually haven't seen before. It didn't bring anything new to the table. It was more of the same kind of stuff that we know. I mean, you know what the game.
It wasn't. It was new, but it wasn't new in the sense of you would have assumed sections like that are going to be throughout the game.
When Neil Druckmann's like, oh yeah, you could pick up a bottle and hit someone to stagger. It's like, yeah,
of course,
sure,
but of course,
there is an element we could go back to that first gameplay reveal sort of extended sequence from 2 years ago, maybe. I think it was.
That was much more exciting. I thought
it was. I think it was more exciting, but also kind of told us a lot of what this whole state of play reinforced. Not complaining. I loved a lot of what I saw yesterday, but yeah.
It's kind of funny because at this point they didn't have to do or say anything that would change the fact that I'm getting that game day one. But I still kind of was hoping for a little bit more. It's made me look at it and go, yeah, it's a goddamn awesome game, and the story elements are the things that I'm really looking forward to the most.
Ooh,
it would have been nice to be wowed a little bit more, maybe.
Yeah. There was no showstopper element to it, was there? But we should probably mention that none of us have seen any of the leaks.
No.
We've been very good at avoiding them, I think. Just trying to stick
been lucky so far. I watched it. I rewatched it afterwards because when we watched it through the first time, we were in the voice channel of our Discord with a bunch of the patrons. So we were kind of watching it together and reacting. So I wanted to watch it back later, just kind of. Not that you missed much or we talked over much or anything, but I just wanted to be able to take it in. And I will say that there's an element of the gameplay that does kind of excite me in that I always felt like the difference between sort of, say, The Last of Us and the Uncharted games is that The Last of Us is much less of an outright like shooter and certainly less of a cover shooter and introduces kind of stealth elements and a lot of the stuff that we saw in the first one. The difference being that Joel is like kind of a heavy, clunky dude in some respects, especially compared to Nathan Drake, and especially compared to Ellie. And what I did kind of like watching that gameplay demo was that I think that you can tell with the lessons that Naughty Dog have taken from Uncharted 4, with how maneuverable Ellie is and how quick and light on her feet she can be, and the range of options at her disposal, it kind of really reinforces that sort of that cat and mouse style gameplay of the balance of power is constantly being switched up between you. There are sometimes situations where you're in a good position, you might have lots of ammo, you might have oversight over a big area, and times where the balance of power swings towards the enemy forces, whatever they may be, where you feel outnumbered, you have low ammo. And we've seen a lot of, obviously it's played a specific way, like the demos are played the way they want to advertise and market the game. We all know that. But it's cool seeing things like seeing her run around this environment and like create distractions over here, quickly craft a Molotov, set that person on fire. We saw the point where the silencer on her pistol breaks at one point, and all of a sudden she's kind of quote unquote gone loud, and she's having to like grab that person, shoot that person, pop the person she's using as a meat shield in Gears of War vernacular. Gets the rifle out because there's no pistol, pulls up. And I don't know, there was something kind of like sprawling and tense about the gameplay that I'm looking forward to experiencing.
But it was also very clear that, like, come on, man. Every single shot that she took was like headshot, boom. Yeah,
there were a lot of headshots.
You commented that, like, fuck, if we had to play that, we spray all our bullets just trying to get those fucking headshots.
Probably. Especially like the way she arced some of those bow and arrow shots where they kind of dipped perfectly into the head, and I was like, dude, I'm missing that every time. Come on.
Can we just take drop mechanics off so that you don't have to worry about that? We can just sight them because otherwise we're in trouble.
Every time I got the bow out in The Last of Us Remastered, it was like track the guy for, I don't know, 2 minutes before you let go of the bow just to make sure that it lands. And even then it's a 50-50, right?
Yeah. And now, do you know the other thing I'm going to say about that gameplay and all the stuff they showed off? I'm going to get flack for this because people think I'm playing into the joke, but I'm being deadly serious. Fuck the dogs. I don't want dogs that can pick up the fucking scent. Do you remember that bit? Did you hear that bit while we're watching? You can go into the vision mode thing and see your scent, and dogs can track it. So you've got dogs now following you around the environment. Like, I don't need that. Dogs in video games are bad enough.
There was a couple of things that they mentioned that which were quite interesting, because like the dog thing was one of them. The other was if you get into the long grass, sure, you can hide in the long grass, but if a guy comes past you and he's like a couple of meters away, he's going to see you. Like you're right there, which obviously talking about how computer games move on, we're kind of used to a lot of games where if you're in the long grass, no one can see you, even if they're on top of you.
Yeah, but that's kind of this. We kind of touched on it last week, I guess, in the podcast, but that's the kind of this idea of de-gamifying games, making it a lot more realistic. And it also got showed off when they were showing, I mean, we've seen that video before, or some of us have, where Ellie is improving her gear, and it's like, it's very considered, the animation. It's like taking out the rifle, taking out the bolt action, and altering things. And it's like, that's all cool, but how intrusive, if they take that idea and spread it throughout the entire game, how intrusive is that going to be, and how annoying is it potentially going to be?
Potentially.
Yeah.
But then there were also moments where
I'm
saw...
not worried about it, but I'm just
yeah, we also saw the other side of that equation where, like, there's one bit where she's standing next to a table that has some of the crafting material, some bullets, and a pistol on it. And it's kind of got I think it's triangle to pick up. Yeah. And it's still like kind of the thing where she just kind of like casts her hand over it and it automatically grabs it. It doesn't have like some Red Dead or Final Fantasy style animation where she moves into position directly in front of it, picks it up, looks at it, puts in a thing, and then you get
because she's not going to be able to, right? Like in the middle of combat. How many times were you playing the game, like fucking Shamblers or whatever they're fucking called there, like, going after you, and you're running, and you're like, oh, there's some equipment, just yoink, take it from a shelf, yoink, run away, shoot.
Yeah,
it's a weird... I was going to say, it's a weird thing in The Last of Us 1 in which, I don't know if you guys felt the same, but I definitely, in some respects, I felt it was a little bit like playing that scene in No Country for Old Men where he's getting chased by the dog and he gets out of the water and he has to like take the gun apart, clean it, sort it out, put the thing back in, dry the thing off, put the bullet in, and then shoot the dog just as it jumps at him. Like it could feel like that. Like someone's running at you and you're having to reload your gun, craft a new bit of equipment to sort of protect yourself if someone's trying to kill you.
Even the craft...
But it could also be shit.
No, I mean, there's a weightiness. There's a weightiness to say just like reloading, for example, in that game, which was wicked, which is brilliant. But it did make me have a couple of bits where I was kind of like, sometimes you want it to be like COD mode, where you can just go and just start shooting again.
I kind of get where you're coming from, but at the same time, I think by virtue of some other recent examples, like the crafting and everything, like animation based in The Last of Us, is ridiculously quick. Like Joel takes off his backpack for 2 seconds and has a Molotov cocktail.
Yeah,
like he literally.
I'm exaggerating.
I am exaggerating. Has a pipe bomb.
No, but what I'm saying is, this one more so than the previous one, they're striving more for that realism, and more for that kind of.
I think you watch the gameplay. We still get a bit where she crouches and really quickly puts a nail through the board and does the Molotov cocktail. It still takes 2 seconds.
Yeah.
She doesn't pull a hammer out and start like. No. Imagine if like they can hear the sound of the hammer as you put the nails through. You'd be like, too real. I don't like it. But I think you just mentioned Joel. I think one of the big things that stood out to people was there was no Joel in this.
Yeah.
In this little game reveal for the extra 10 minutes. They've also sort of steered clear a bit of him. I don't think, because even outside of the gameplay, they didn't really show anything of Joel that we haven't seen before, right? And one thing that stands out to me is going to be that the first game was very much a, help me up here, help me down there, you do this and I'll do that. Yeah, and it was a co-op experience with the AI, and suddenly it's going to be a very lonely journey, it seems, unless there's another stand-in. Because I think even before you're with Joel, just Joel, you've got Joel's mate in the first one who gets bitten. It's like a companion game. There's always people around you. And then in this, it does seem like it's going to be a bit darker, a bit more brooding. Like Ellie's kind of going full Rambo.
Oh, dude, yeah. They're talking about like, if you've watched the trailers, it seems that Ellie's love interest, whatever, gets fucking mutilated or murdered or wherever the fuck it is. And that's the start of the fucking game. Like you go on a revenge arc. There's a lot of stuff. It's a much more mature and darker story in my estimation. Even remember that first fucking trailer when we didn't know it was The Last of Us Part 2, where it's like, oh yeah, clip her wings and fucking the hammer on.
Strung her up and the knife.
I watched that last night and I'd forgotten, because every time they've shown that bit since, they've cut away before the hammer hits. Yeah. But you go back and watch that trailer, like, no, you watch a woman get her arm broken by like 4 or 5 hammer blows straight, then a dude gets an arrow through his face, and one chick gets a hammer stuck in her head so that it like actually sticks there.
Yeah,
like there's a bunch.
They
of
fucking what's the word? Eviscerated.
Yeah,
with the guts just all.
Yeah. I think so they've teased that Dina, the love interest, could be a companion for some part, possibly a very short part of the game. They also did show in the gameplay stuff that, like, hey, AI companions are still a thing. They showed you being helped by one of them, and there's an Asian guy who it seems you might run with for some amount of time.
Yeah.
But you're right about Joel. Like, when Joel was introduced in the trailer at the end of last year, the one where they first announced the old release date.
That was the first one of it. Like,
yeah, and the line Joel says in that trailer is, "You really think I'd let you do this on your own?" And so far, he has let her do everything on her own. So,
so this is the thing, right? Like, okay, maybe this was part of the leaks or whatever, but this is purely coming from a rumor standpoint, so it should be safe.
Careful.
This is what was the speculation at the time, right? When all the stuff came out, it was showing us all of this stuff, but we didn't see Joel, and we're like, "Oh, is Joel dead? Isn't he dead?" And then when we saw him in the trailer, there was almost a sense of relief, like, "Oh yeah, okay, he's there." But is he there?
There's questions around it for sure. Like, we don't know.
I don't want to ask these questions because I don't want the answers.
No, that's true. That's so true.
There's some dudes who probably watch the fucking leaks and going, these guys don't know that Joel turned into fucking Santa Claus and brought presents to all the kids.
He is the bad guy.
Yeah, like, or, you know.
Well, I think
can we stop now?
We've touched on sort of like the dark aspects and the gruesome aspects, but hey, they still wanted to have a little bit of fun with the state of play yesterday, because with the PS Vita made an appearance as we were watching it, and I think Jamie, you pointed out as well the fact that as sort of the Vita gets pulled off her, I think the headphones maybe come out and you can hear the soundtrack to Hotline Miami, which
Chris and I kind of picked up on it more or less the same time. It felt like,
right,
yeah, like.
Which is fun.
I thought it was coming from our Discord. I thought someone was like someone's headphones were leaking, or someone was playing a video out loud or something.
It's funny. Like, we said it at the same time, Jamie, because there was almost a bit of a pause while we tried to, because it was quite soft, and we're like, hold on a second, is that Moon song, right? Like, yeah, I'm not. Hell yeah.
But look, there is 22 days until it comes out. So it was supposed to be out tomorrow. It's not obvious. Or sorry, today is when the podcast goes out.
It's supposed to be out in fucking February, dude. Don't even.
But it's the new date. The new was supposed to be out. Yeah, but look, I think it's 22 days until the game actually comes out. So anyone out there, I think it's coming. It's coming this time. Surely it's not getting pushed again. So we should be playing it in 3 podcasts' time.
I got to plug in my headphones.
All right.
It's running out of juice. We can say whatever we want now about Chris, and he'd have no idea.
Perfect.
Jonesy, how the hell could you say that?
I know, right? Shocking.
You bastard.
Wow, controversial.
Okay, so the next story up is the fact that the PlayStation 5, in a confirmed rumour, is to be shown off on June the 3rd.
Yeah,
the
Chris's confirmed
rumours. Yeah,
absolutely.
Nothing quite like them.
With a state of play, are we saying? A maybe state of play?
Maybe.
We're not quite sure yet.
It's the nature of these things, right? Like, we're not sure. Probably by the time that this podcast goes up, it's going to be like Sony would have said, yeah, we're going to show off everything. And we're like, well, fuck us, egg on our face.
But they have said that there's going to be another state of play in August, so we could get some juicy details in 5 days, and then we'll have to wait a little while to see anything else, because there's not going to be any pricing yet, and there's not going to be any release date going to be announced if the confirmed rumors are true. But the Xbox Series X pre-order page is live, so you can always just head on over there and order yourself a Xbox Series X if you're getting stressed out about the fact that you can't see more about the PlayStation.
Is it actually?
Yeah, I think
apparently.
I don't think
on which website?
It's more like a reserve your.
Okay, I'm going to hold off, but I am actually kind of getting more and more paranoid about that, because if this fall comes around and supplies are as limited as people think they might be, then I don't want to be caught high and dry when it comes to new consoles. I want to have at least one of them. So
I thought you were going to head off then, Jamie, and go and just get yourself pre-order your Xbox.
I'm heading down the shops.
Why don't you just do it then anyway?
I don't know, because I feel like when you say something's up for pre-order but there's no price or release date, like, it's kind of more of like a I don't know. That's not a real pre-order.
That there's no obligation, right? Because they're not giving you the full details. So
maybe, but like if I open Amazon right now, would I find the Xbox Series X?
Probably
That's
not.
The question. Yeah, exactly. So
like pre-order,
I can hang tight. I think for another couple of weeks. You've got to imagine that by the end of the summer, these two consoles are both ready to pre-order. I don't know. Maybe not.
Surely. But if we're saying that if we're saying the PlayStation's dropping in November, by the end of summer, I mean, so what, the end of August, that'd be madness if you couldn't sort of pre-order, right? Because that's getting pretty late.
But and I think that gives them the timeline. Like, I think for as much as we're joking about how these are confirmed rumors, I think this timeline makes some amount of sense based on the position that both of these platform holders are on. Sony kind of needing to come out and say, here are some PlayStation 5 games, here are some of the big exclusives we've got in the pipeline, here's what they look like running on the PlayStation 5 tech. And that's been one of the rumors, so everything here needs a pinch of salt, but the rumors behind the scenes is that one of the reasons this event, specifically this June 3rd thing, has fluctuated is because Sony were worried by the negative reaction Xbox had to the not quite gameplay that was shown at their event, and wanted to make sure that theirs was a little bit more, fulfilled that promise.
Next year there'll be another Raising Kratos documentary where Corey Barlog's there saying like, and then Sony just called me up and said, no, we need a trailer, and I had to build a fucking trailer for God of War new one like in 2 weeks.
It's possible. Like it's kind of mad to think that it's not that long to wait until the 3rd, and yet when you think about the idea of Sony doing their big kind of would-be E3 slot event to promote the PlayStation 5, what do you think we do see here? Like, is this God of War 2 territory? Is this Spider-Man 2, Horizon Zero Dawn 2?
I mean, they've got to show off some launch titles, and it can't be like a fucking Ridge Racer.
Right.
Oh, let me give you a few more details, because Bloomberg have sort of reported a few things that Sony have actually said.
This is Jason Schreier, right? Now of Bloomberg fame.
Yeah. Right, yes. So Sony is said to be focusing on the game specifically for this event. The date is subject to change by a few days, so it might not be specifically the 3rd. I know we're saying the 3rd. But they are going to do some... Well, they've said they're going to reveal some stuff, but don't expect this to be a reveal all, like, here's the PS5, this is what it is, this is what... It's going to be a bit more of a tease, it's going to be a bit more of a drip feed.
I just don't understand that, though.
I think Jamie's right, though. Like, I think this is, if they're saying they're focusing on the games, given the fact that we've already seen the demo stuff running on the PlayStation 5, was it a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
I think potentially what we're going to see is some first-party announcements for some big titles. I mean, to me, that would be
completely.
That would be sensible.
But at the same time, like, if you show off the console and show the console, the control, like you have that whole package, then it almost kind of elevates it from saying, yeah, this is a cool thing, to fucking knocking it out of the park, you know?
I would be amazed if they didn't show at least the console. I think, because they've said they're not going to announce specs and talk about every detail, but they can just show the console.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I wouldn't be surprised.
If they didn't show the console?
Yeah, because again, like we've already had the caveat that there's no release date and there's no price. So like, you're showing someone a plastic box that they've got no way of gauging like when it's going to come out. Like, I think all the console related stuff I kind of tie in together. And I think if this is a games focused live stream, then I don't think it necessarily that it needs that. I know that people want that, and it wouldn't be a bad thing. It wouldn't be a problem, but I don't know.
See, I reckon it'll be a few big name games getting announced, and then I think right at the end they're going to have like an iPhone style teaser trailer of just the look, the form factor.
Oh,
that's definitely possible.
Yeah, they're just taking it out of the pocket. Or they'll pull the Jones in, just take out the controller and be like, we've shown you the console already. It's this bad boy.
Imagine if it's just the controller.
Or it's like, I've been standing on it this whole time, and the camera pans down, and he's just standing on it.
Well, no, it's the controller that we've seen, but it comes out, and it's actually this like, it's about this size.
Oh, right. I like the we've only had the front on shot, and like all of a sudden the camera pans around, and it's like this thick. It goes all the way back.
See, I like the idea that it's actually the podium that he's doing the talk from, and it's actually like this talk.
Oh, it's like a massive fucking podium.
Yeah. This is how we get so much power out of it. It's 3 meters tall.
I think the thing that we don't really know what Microsoft are doing in June yet. We know they're doing something, but we don't really know what. But what we do know Microsoft are doing is they're doing first-party stuff in July. So I think when you look at what people think Sony's current timeline is, which is this now in early June and maybe something else in early August, I think they've got to be aware that they are 1 month away from Microsoft potentially coming out and being... You look at the rumors about that Microsoft event, it's not just going to be Halo Infinite and a Fable reboot and a Perfect Dark reboot and all this kind of these big AAA things, but also there are even rumors... strong rumors that there are going to be major third-party announcements that are still a part of Microsoft's July thing. What Sony don't want to do is come out in June, show off a box and like a couple of let's say games of the same caliber as Xbox's last stream, and then leave the door open for Microsoft, because that's what we're talking about, right? Is we're talking about basically for all of June, July, and August. And probably that's about where it stops. We're talking about Sony and Microsoft literally going one after another, maybe 3 to 4 weeks apart, and trying. Yeah. It's about one-upmanship, right? It's about one-upmanship on price. It's about one-upmanship on specs, but of course, it's about games. And that's why I do think there's a chance that, as weird as it sounds for an event that's like a week away, there is a Horizon Zero Dawn 2 or a Spider-Man 2 or a God of War 2 caliber game that's present at this.
What's your money on?
I think based on all 3 of those games are going to exist at some point, right? A Spider-Man sequel, a God of War sequel, and a Horizon sequel. I think based on if we are going to say that there's a positive correlation between volume of chatter and plausible release coming soon, I think Horizon Zero Dawn seems to be the furthest ahead of those 3 projects.
I agree with that.
See, weirdly, I agree with you, but I think for them, if it was up to me to say which would be the best, I think maybe Spider-Man is the best.
Yeah, but it might,
this point,
it might not be a question of which is the best. It might just be a question of what have you got.
No, that's what I mean. I agree with you. Like, if they could pick, I think they should pick Spider-Man. But I don't think they'll be able to, and I do think it'll probably be Horizon. I completely agree with you.
If you think about, PlayStation 4 has been smashing it, right? But you think about what they've been showing off for the past 2 years. It's really 4 games, right?
Horizon, Spider-Man.
No. So, so I'm talking Death Stranding.
God of War.
No, just after God of War and Horizon, right?
Oh, okay.
From there on, they were like, we got The Last of Us, right? We've got Death Stranding. What else were they?
It was Ghost of Tsushima and Spider-Man. That was the last time when they were at E3. Those were the big 4.
Yeah, and I understand it's coming to an end of their cycle, but they've really been leaning on those kind of releases, right?
Sure.
Yes.
So going into this, how many of these things are they going to do, or is it going to be like, oh yeah, here's Ridge Racer, here's Knack 3, and here's the one that the only one that people actually care about, and it's one of those 3 that we've mentioned, which is like a God of War, Spider-Man, or a Horizon Zero Dawn. And maybe what if that's all they've got?
Well, we do know some other stuff. We do know some other stuff, which is we know. I believe I'm right in saying that there are strong rumors around the existence of some kind of SOCOM game being made. We know that we know that we still don't know what Blue Point's next big project is. Obviously, the heavy rumor there is a remake of Dark Souls or Demon Souls or something like that.
Yeah.
But there are also lots of rumors around the possibility of Resident Evil 8 being tied to, not like with exclusivity or anything like that, but obviously Resident Evil 7 was first shown with Sony, and 8 could be the same. Also, rumors about a rebooted Silent Hill also being tied to Sony in some respect. There are, I guess, it's probably a bit too early for Bend, but I don't know if they're making another Days Gone or
I'd be surprised if they weren't. I mean, that sold so well.
Yeah, it sold so well, didn't it? That's the thing.
I don't know. either Sony are the masters of keeping their cards to their chest, which they kind of are, or it's not as robust as maybe people would like. That's just a worry that I have going into this kind of stuff.
The mad thing is that I think and this is kind of saying, as you guys are saying, going it's one-upsmanship, is you've got the mixed thing of you want to have a really good show and you want people to talk about it positively, but at the same time you don't want to have a good show, then Xbox to come out only 1 month later and to blow yours out the water, and then everyone's talking about Xbox, because then you have to rely on having an even better show the next time round. Whereas if you keep your cards, if you sort of keep the big games close to your chest, wait until Xbox come out and say, this is what we've got, they can then drop some, big game announcements, which stops people talking about the Xbox. It must be like a really weird kind of tactical battlefield where they're going, we want to make it good, but not too good, and we want to do this.
Undoubtedly. So, this is all strategy, but
they might have even changed it based on how relatively people have seemed to perceive Microsoft's one to have been recently, because people were a little bit underwhelmed. So maybe they're like, hey, we drop one of the big announcements we were going to make because now we don't need to, because we don't have to do as much. But I've got no idea. I mean, you see, maybe like you said, they're just not ready.
Unintended consequence of what's happened with E3, right? Because E3 used to be the time that you've got your one slot, so fucking get everything out and make it fucking amazing. And people remember that kind of thing. I remember E3 announcements years later. But now it's kind of with this, I don't know, let's just show them one game and then see what Microsoft says. Yeah. And it's just kind of
and they can move the day around. You can't at E3, you can't move your press announcement or
lackluster and a bit it's a bit sad. Hey, I mean, ultimately it doesn't matter, but it's just a bit sad that's
I think, and we need to move on about this. So let's final thoughts, closing thoughts on the on this PlayStation.
I guess a closing thought for me is that whatever happens, I think one of the things that's nice about this next generation is that, be it because it's was strategized this way or just good fortune, we are in a better position in terms of what developers are freed up and what games we're expecting to see than we were this time 7 years ago, where the PlayStation 4 launched with a new Killzone and Knack, and basically the only first-party game we had in the horizon at that point, no pun intended, was Infamous Second Son, which was also not amazing, and it actually took until E3 2015, 2016, where all of a sudden here's Horizon, here's Spider-Man, here's God of War, here's Death Stranding, here's Detroit, and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
we're in a better position now than we are then, based on the timings. The fact that Horizon will be 4 years old next year, God of War and Spider-Man will be 3 years old next year, and not only that, they are sequels, so theoretically could be faster in development. That's the main positive, is that I think we could be looking at a much hotter, better first year or two for first-party games on both platforms, and I hope that's represented in the events we watch over the next couple of months.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's move on to our the next news story then, because this has got Chris written all over it. So I'll give you the high level stuff, and then Chris can come in and add some meat to the bones. It should be time for Dota's annual huge event, the International, and the International 10 was going to be this year, but it has been postponed because of COVID, as many other things have been postponed. And normally the Battle Pass that is released by Valve coincides with the International, and that builds towards the prize pool, which everyone, I'm sure, every year remembers gets insanely large. I mean, what was the prize pool last year? We were talking
last year was $34.3 million.
So epic sums of money we're talking. Obviously, with the fact that the International 10 has been postponed, people were thinking that the prize pool for 10, which is still going ahead because they've now done the Battle Pass has been released as normal, that it would, I guess, fall off and people wouldn't be as interested because it wouldn't form part of the International this year. But in only 48 hours, it's tracking better than the International 9, as it's currently up to $10 million in prize money, Chris. Is that have I got that pretty much right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, so it's interesting, right? So obviously, working on the Battle Pass takes a while because they create new cosmetics and come up with these game modes, etc. But so they were obviously working on it while they were trying to see if the International was going to take place. Then they postponed the International. It might not even happen this year. It might happen at the start of next year. We just don't know at this point. But they've got all this work, so they might as well put it out.
Because people still want the stuff in the Battle Pass, because it's not just about putting money into the prize fund,
is it? Earlier, it kind of reinvigorates the game for a lot of people because it gives you a lot of kind of objectives beyond just win the game, you know.
Sure.
And there's a lot of unlocks and cosmetics behind it, and you know, some memes as well, whatever, blah blah blah. But it just blows my mind that even that it's come out anyway, and it's not technically attached to an international, even though this prize money will go to the international.
But they've said that they, right?
Yeah,
okay.
we just don't know when the international 10 is going to take place. It still blows my mind that it's like breaking records. But then again, hey, everyone's fucking at home, so why not? I guess.
Why not? So what? It's like $40, isn't it? Is something like that? The Battle Pass.
There's 3 tiers. You can buy one. I don't know how much it is in dollars. Okay. I know in pounds. So it's £8 for a level 1 Battle Pass. Level 50 Battle Pass, I think, is £24, and then I think £34 is a level 100 Battle Pass.
Oh, okay, right.
And then you can
so
buy levels on top of that if you want. But
the
idea is you buy the Battle Pass, you play the games, you do the challenges and the quests and this, that, the other, and you accumulate levels as you go along. You know, like any other kind of season pass or battle pass, as you will. It's cool. It's cool. It's just a pity that the game itself is not in a very good place at the moment. It's kind of, the patch that they released is very kind of boring, for lack of a better word. But, you know.
Yeah. And also, like,
super interesting. I was going to say, super interesting that it's, if you say the game's not in a very good place yet, this is the biggest ever, like,
it's mad. I honestly thought that they would not top TI9's prize pool, but according to the numbers, I mean, fucking hell.
It's the reverse effect. That the worse the game gets, the more passionately the few people who like it have to defend it.
The whales come out in force.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, kind of. And like, to play devil's advocate, you could argue that it is absolutely not surprising at all that the Battle Pass has released right on cue and is making the money it makes right on cue, because the elephant in the room with the Battle Pass is that, and all these kind of the associated transactions that take place, is that for as nice as that big old prize pool is, am I right in saying, Chris, that the prize pool represents 25% of the earnings made from these things?
So Valve has made $30 million in 48 hours.
Yeah, every $10 million the prize pool makes, Valve make 30. So if you ask a company like Valve, do you want to all of a sudden have a slot in the summer every single year, like for 9-10 years in a row, where you make, I don't know what it was 10 years ago, but let's say as recently as last year, you're used to making about $100 million out of fucking thin air, and then say to them, do you not want to make that this year? They go, no, we want to make that right on cue.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Can I put forward a cynical conspiracy theory?
Yeah.
And do you know what this is a little bit off the back of is a rapper, I think it was recently, who tweeted out, or maybe it was Instagram, a video where he was basically calling out Billboard 100 in America about how the actual way that, like,
it's Tekashi 6ix9ine, or whatever his name is.
Maybe, yeah. So I wonder how much of the prize pool and the sale of the Battle Pass is actually Valve buying it themselves. Because, for example, every year, they're in every newspaper, they get articles all over the web, there are millions of videos online about going, the prize pool's the biggest ever.
They would not be the first company to inflate their own numbers to avoid the negative backlash and press that would come from not being able to topple the last year.
Yeah.
So let's say they're down low, and then they top it up by 10 million quid. And then they go, oh, it's the biggest ever again.
You see, you make a point, but then this might have been the opportunity for them to, like, if it did track lower, it could have been an opportunity for them to say, well, of course it's tracking lower. There's no international and there's fucking COVID.
That's right. That's fair. Yeah, that's a good point.
Do you know what I mean? And yet it's tracking higher.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I also kind of feel that, like, Valve's main business isn't Dota, it's Steam. And I just don't see Valve doing this kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
I can. Fair enough.
Yeah, I know what you mean I know what you mean in the larger sense.
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. Fucking who knows?
I can't remember what you call it. It's in the stock market. Is when you buy your own stock in order to bolster the share price, because you don't want it to drop. So companies reinvest in themselves. So they'll take loans out to buy their own stock in order to keep it at a certain level. Whereas it's like, well, that's just you giving yourselves money for a loss. Like, what are you doing? And you realise it's because they have to play the game.
I won't name names, but I used to work for a production company that would buy out screenings.
You told me about this. I remember this.
That would buy out screenings of its own films.
Yes.
And would do it where they do this thing where if a film had been a commercial flop on the wider like national level, what they would do is they would drastically reduce the number of screens the film was being shown on, and then buy out all the unsold tickets to those screenings, so that the per theatre or per screen average would go way up, and they'd promote that metric instead and make it look like a very popular niche film rather than an unpopular mass appeal film.
I'm sure that shit happens all the time. Oh.
So, like the I can't remember the guy's name, Jamie. I think you did remember it. The guy who said recently that effectively the way that the Billboard 100 works in the US is that, well, he was saying that he was tracking very highly in the Billboard 100, was doing very well in the charts, and then with 7 credit cards, somebody came through and suddenly Ariana Grande or whatever is now number 1, because with 7 credit cards they've spent $50,000 on her single. And so he's like, well, hold on, what is this? Who's got these credit cards? Who's buying all these songs? And obviously he's saying this isn't really how it works, and these companies go and buy their own music in order to elevate it in the charts, in order to make it more popular. Yeah. So, and Jamie's given us an example from the movie industry, so I wouldn't be surprised, but maybe not.
It never even crossed my mind that may be a thing, and now you've given me something to think about. So.
But the point you made about like the relevance of that cash flow to the company that controls all of Steam is also a valid point as well, Chris.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like, do they really care if they didn't make that? Like, they'd probably make so much more money elsewhere. They're like, all right, who cares? Yeah. And with that, let's move on to the next story. The segues today are on point, aren't they?
And with that,
let's move on. Because let's talk about GTA 6. I like Chris has got so Chris did the research for today's podcast, and he likes to put a question mark in when he's like, it's bullshit, basically. He's probably made it up himself.
Maybe I should just put in brackets, bullshit.
Bullshit. But no, this is it's got some reasonable speculation behind it, because Take-Two have said, Take-Two's marketing spend is said to increase by 100% in 2023. And the last time they said this, so I guess it's to do with the company reports and things, was when Red Dead Redemption 2 was coming out. So obviously they need to do a lot of marketing. They're going to have to push a new game, so they need to up their spend on marketing. So it's a very good signpost that they're going to be dropping something big in 2023. Although they have said that it's not what people think it's likely to be, because of course everyone is going to say, well, it's GTA 6. We know what it is.
Yeah, but let's be honest. I mean, you're giving a very specific year, and in that very specific year, you're saying, oh yeah, we're going to double all of our current spend for marketing. Like, come on.
And they do a lot. They do a lot of spend at the moment, because you've got to think about like GTA Online and all that sort of stuff that they're pushing out. I mean, it is still, they spend a lot, right? So doubling it is a big thing.
You can see the graphs that go alongside the financial reporting, and it is literally like graph around here, graph around here, graph around here. Then 2023, it's like it goes up, like it literally doubles the amount of money they're putting aside for marketing.
Yeah, and you got to think to yourself, like, what could they possibly be projecting for that specific year in order to justify that jump? Surely it's one of their bigger games.
It's also 10 years since Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, so it's quite a nice time to release GTA 6. Is 10 years after the fact.
I could fully see Grand Theft Auto 6 being a 2023, 2024 title. Personally. Yeah, or whatever Rockstar make next, with the exclusion of re-releasing Red Dead Redemption 2 on next-gen consoles.
Yeah.
I guess it's entirely plausible that 2023 is when they start doing a massive push in terms of publicity, and that's why they need to spend. And then, 2024 is when the actual game comes out. But
I reckon something it's going to be like next-gen Red Dead Redemption 2. Then the next big one for them is going to be Bully 2, and then it's going to be GTA 6.
I think straight to GTA 6. That's my.
Yeah, I'm with Jamie. Like 10 years is too much of a hallmark point to say.
I'm saying that year will stay true, but that they'll just release Bully 2 before 2023.
I don't.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Right. So 2022 or whatever.
Yeah, as a stopgap,
My unpopular opinion is that Bully 2 doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, interesting.
I think it was a thing at some point and it isn't anymore. That's my opinion.
I think that's
I'm kind of with you. It's been a long time. I mean, in that game, I feel like they wouldn't do anywhere near as well with the Bully 2 than they would do as well as they've done with Red Dead Redemption, GTA 5, the online. Bully 2 seems like a weird standout that wouldn't really fit.
Yeah.
For me, yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But
anyway,
hey, you never know. And the last news story that we've got today is that BlizzCon is cancelled.
Oh, who would have seen that coming?
I don't know anything about this.
All right,
so I'm gonna have to.
All right, I'll just rattle through it then. So they released a blog post on the BlizzCon website saying that due to COVID and they can't guarantee the safety, blah 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 blah. What they did say is that they're hoping to do some online stuff, as you'd expect. Like, hey, Gamescom's not on, E3's not on, so everyone's doing these online presentations. What they said in this blog post though was that they can't guarantee. Because this whole thing is quote unquote new to them in terms of doing like online presentations, that they don't see it happening this year and would probably see it happening early next year. But I
love they're saying it's new to them. It's like it's new to everyone.
Yeah,
come on.
No, but also like, I'm sorry, fuck off. Are you telling me you weren't planning your panels for BlizzCon up to this point? Of course you were. You telling me you weren't building trailers for the games that you wanted to show off? Of course you were.
Right.
All you got to do is record the panel and the presentation and just put it live. Like, where in that does it make it fucking difficult?
Unless they're now in a position that some other publishers and developers are in, which is like, well, actually, we were going to get a lot of stuff ready for one specific date, to a certain extent, regardless of the fact that some of those games might have been shown perhaps slightly too early than they would have actually like to have done, or slightly too late or whatever, and now they actually get to do something completely different and maybe stagger it. I can see that.
Yeah. But at the same time, that they've clearly been doing work towards a one date thing.
But maybe once
stay the course and call it like BlizzCon or some fucking thing.
But that all starts to fall apart when you say like, actually, we were going to rush to show a full gameplay demo of Diablo 4 at BlizzCon, but now that we don't need to do that, it might make sense to do that 3 months later. And so that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, maybe.
It's kind of weird as well because it's so late in the year. Like, it should be November time, or last year was November time, right? But by all estimations, stuff's starting to come back online, June, July, August, in which case you'd think that November it should probably be okay, but they've decided to cancel it anyway, which is kind of interesting.
Here's my theory, boys. They're relieved. Yeah. They're just taking the easy way out because the last couple of BlizzCons have been fucking shit shows for them PR-wise.
Yeah. So then you get to sort of a more more interesting ideas of, okay, why have they really decided that maybe it's going to be to not do it? Well, because there was actually, I just saw a quote from the blog that the executive producer, Sarah Lynn Smith, said, which was, we're talking about how we might be able to channel the BlizzCon spirit and connect with you in some way online. That to me is like, is the BlizzCon spirit that great? That people want to connect with online?
Fair, BlizzCon is not just about like presentations, right? It's also like tournaments and cosplay bullshit and all of that stuff. But like, so?
Yeah, it's a weird one for me. I don't know if maybe they're relieved and they've cancelled it in relief of like.
That is entirely my thought process here, is that they're just like they saw an easy opportunity to opt out of it, and they're just like, you know what, save a shit ton of money by not doing it, and just save yourself any PR hassles. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, I could see that somewhat.
But that having been said, it's time to draw a line under today's podcast, because today is a short but sweet one, because we're on a little bit of a schedule. We've got a time to work through. There is something exciting, though, coming to the Patreons, because you guys earlier today recorded your Final Fantasy VII. What are you going to call it? Is it got a name?
Just Final Fantasy VII Remake spoiler cast with
nice,
with Chris and Jamie. That's the name.
Because I know nothing about it, so I'm going to be listening along and learning like everyone else who hasn't actually heard it. So hey, if you'd like to get your hands on that, make sure to join our Patreon. We are at patreon.com.
We probably should have put this at the start of the video. Hey, we've got extra content in our Patreon, so go check it out.
We will put it in the description, and we'll do something. We'll share it somehow. But make sure you don't miss it.
Pushing our Patreon, and we will do not like oppressively, but just like
I forgot all about it until just now. So there you go.
Explain the perks, Sure. Oh, we all forgot about it. Don't worry about it.
What are we going to have as a code word? What about BlizzCanned?
Oh, BlizzCanned or BlizzCunt. Well, I don't know.
No.
Wow.
You don't want to encourage like 50 people to drop the C-bomb in the comments, otherwise YouTube will look at it and be like,
Fair enough. BlizzCanned it is.
BlizzCanned. BlizzCanned is the code word if you made it to the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Jonesy.
I have been hosting today. Chris did all the hard work, the legwork of the research behind the scenes, though, so thank you very much for that, Chris.
Well, then can I get a compliment, please?
Sorry, mate. Jamie is awesome.
A real one.
In general, he's awesome.
Look into my eyes while you say it.
So you are awesome.
Yeah, how about this one? Oh, look at those lovely blue eyes, Jamie. Wow.
It's well weird looking in the camera. I don't do it while we're recording.
It is very strange. But hey, if you've been watching us on YouTube, remember that we also, the podcast also goes out on podcasting platforms if you'd rather listen to it. And also, if you're listening to this on podcasting platforms, you can also go over to youtube.com/SuperShowPod. We are also on Twitter at SuperShowPod. I am at SuperShow Jonesy. Jamie is at Full Fat Jamie. Chris is at...
I knew he was going to fuck
Monomyth.
No. At Chris J.
Chris J. Mono.
There you go.
Chris J. Mono.
I should probably change it, but I'm kind of locked in now.
You are. You've been that for a long time.
Yeah. Don't change it. Yeah. You've got it.
If you can find it in your hearts to leave us a rating, please do. We appreciate the hell out of it if you do on the podcast platforms. And we will see you next week. So thank you very much.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.